Welcome to Keepers of the Word. You're here with Ron and James. We've put together a great show for you today about Ezekiel's Wheel. But before we get into it, we'd like to thank our sponsors, us, because we're doing this all. We're getting it going. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor for Keepers of the Word, shout out to us. Get in touch with us through one of our channels. We appreciate you. James?
Awesome. Make sure to follow us on all social media outlets at Keepers of the Word on Instagram. We also have another Instagram channel at KOTW_podcast. This is where you can see us do all of our podcast stuff, which is pretty cool. It's kind of behind the scenes. So please follow us on there. And if you're watching on YouTube, make sure to tick the bell to get notified every time we upload new content. What are we talking about tonight?
Ezekiel's will.
We're talking about Ezekiel's Wheel. What you got for us, James? You gonna start it out?
You know, I will. Ezekiel is a pretty cool dude. So, to talk about Ezekiel's Wheel, we're going to have to talk about Ezekiel a little bit real quick to kind of give you guys some context on who Ezekiel is, where he is, when he is, stuff like that. He's a biblical character and figure who is going to be probably my second favorite. Character from the Bible, next to Enoch, because Enoch is freaking super cool. So, the reason why Ezekiel is one of my favorite characters next to Enoch is, again, just it's going to be the interaction with the angels. Ezekiel has this crazy experience with these angels that come down. But let's talk about Ezekiel, man. Ezekiel was kind of living in a time period that was really, really crazy, So, greetings, Drebat. So, Ezekiel was living in a time where Jerusalem was sacked by Babylon. It was brought back. They were brought back. This was the Jews in captivity. So, when all this took place, basically, the whole Ezekiel's Wheel and him by the river, Kopar, that was in Babylon. I mean, he was near Nippur, which is a really cool city that we've talked about before. He was actually in the neighborhood of Enlil, which was our last conversation that we had with our wonderful fans. So Enlil and Inky was the last episode, and he's actually dwelling in the land of Enlil. This is Enlil's hometown, and he's hanging out over there. So a bunch of weird stuff happens. So Ezekiel, who is Ezekiel? Ezekiel is the son of Buzi. Buzi is I believe he's the grandson of Zadok, which is a pretty crazy dude. If you go check his stuff out, he's kind of like a zealot. And Ezekiel was born in Jerusalem, and then later on, Babylon came knocking down their walls and doors, and basically took them captive. So Ezekiel had to go to Babylon, to Nippur specifically. So that's where he dwelled at. What takes place is Ezekiel meeting some angels that look pretty crazy, and this is by the river, Kobar River, which a lot of people believe this was the Euphrates River. There's a river called very similar to Kobar. It's spelled with a K. People believed it was that, but new evidence shows it was probably the Euphrates River somewhere where he was at, tripping out a little bit. So what do you got, Ron?
Well, I mean, Ezekiel was definitely a strange cat, and aside from the book of Ezekiel was one that a lot of the ancients would recommend not to study until you had some knowledge, because he was such a strange. I read somewhere that even the Songs of Solomon, which was, another one of our favorites aside from Enoch, was a book that some people recommended not even be read or put into the Bible. So these guys were all strange cats that had similar things going on. The the wheel that Ezekiel talks about has properties that could be similar to Solomon's seal. So I went down the Merkaba route. So
There you go.
we'll talk about that. But why don't you give us some info on the wheel and the history of Ezekiel's vision?
So, a lot of people, there's a lot of different interpretations, but let's talk about the actual description of these guys. There's a huge description, and for the like of the show, I just can't read like 4 chapters of a description because it's pretty detailed. But in Ezekiel 1:5, this is in like the first chapter, the wheel description. It has a likeness of 4 living creatures. There was a likeness of a man in them. This is the literal text here. Ezekiel 1:6, every one had 4 faces and every one 4 wings. Their feet were straight feet, and the sole of their feet was like the sole of a calf's foot, and they sparkled like the appearance of glowing brass. And they had the hands of a man under their wings, on their 4 sides, and they had faces and wings of the 4 sides. So, and then they go into the description of the wings, and every wing was attached to another wing, and there was eyes on the wing, and the way that these guys moved, basically these guys was a wheel within a wheel, and every time the wheel in the wheel moved, the other wheel moved, and it went in the same direction. So it's very confusing how they talk about this, and people go in these elaborate breakdowns of what it is and how it looks and how it maneuvers around, and what angel this is, what rank of angel this is, or classification it is, cherubim, all the good stuff, which one it is. But, it's just weird. There's a wonderful meme out there that shows Ezekiel's wheel. This is the angel with all these wings and eyes, like 1,000 eyes all over it. And it says, "Be ye not afraid." And it's like,
Yep. The wheel was described as a wheel at a right angle within a wheel, and on the outer wheel there were eyes on the wheel. So there's some pretty crazy vision for that.
for sure.
And the thing is that the research that I did on Ezekiel was that Ezekiel had a phenomenal vocabulary and was very descriptive. I mean, in Ezekiel's visions in the book of Ezekiel, he will give you the day, the week, the month, the time of the day that he saw these things. He was very, very descriptive. So these people that want to say that Ezekiel was describing some type of technology that he couldn't understand, so he was using other words, it kind of falls off there, because he had such a phenomenal vocabulary and paid so much attention and gave so much detail to the things that he saw that, if he's saying eyes, they're eyes. I mean, how could it not be eyes? How could it not be a right angle of a wheel within a wheel? He knew what a wheel was. It wasn't, even if whatever the technology was, it's still a very, very precise, just has to be a precise description of what he was seeing, because he was so able to
Describe
give
it.
those. Exactly.
Yeah, he's staring at something. He's definitely trying to, he's definitely trying to figure out what the hell he's witnessing here. Because anytime there's just as a description, and just to kind of give you guys some background content, when angels showed up, people prostrated themselves. They literally they fell flat on their face with their arms out or over their head, because they were just, they had a bowel movement right there, and they're like, "I'm gonna die, because I don't know, this thing's gonna eat me." They were absolutely terrified. And the angels are always like, "They're there, little human, relax." But this thing kind of takes the cake. Besides, seeing a seraphim, you never want to see a seraphim. You see a seraphim and your lunch. You're not gonna you're not gonna leave and walk away. Seraphims, they talk about walking with leaving smoke in the footsteps of the seraphim because they're on fire. It's a fiery serpent. So it's a freaking dragon. But Ezekiel's
Yeah,
wheels.
they were the highest class that stayed close to the throne of God, correct? The seraphim.
Yes. I mean, there is Metatron who is above them, which, with Metatron, this is the whole thing, me studying angels my whole freaking life. I thought it was the coolest thing with the seraphim. I thought it was really dope. And then when I got into Enoch, and then I realized there's Metatron. Metatron was Enoch. And reading about Metatron, when they would be on the battlefield, the angels are on the battlefield and they're battling out with like demons or whatever, this big war or whatever it was going down. They would sound trumpets. All these other angels, low class angels, would basically blare their trumpets to signal that Metatron was coming, and everyone retreated from their side. The seraphims, all of them, they would just bounce. They would leave. They would absolutely get the hell out of the way because here comes Metatron. Metatron would just devour. They said that Metatron would just eat or consume the other angels, even the ones that were on his side, because he was a hurricane. He was a big, huge tornado that basically just took over. And just to go off of that one real quick, the tornado, the pillar of fire and the pillar of smoke that Moses followed, a lot of people believe was Metatron. Cool little side note there.
That is a cool side note.
That is very cool. Okay, so let's see. What do we got here? We got, where did Ezekiel see the angels? That was by the river. What did he eat? So this is kind of cool stuff, He eats a couple different things. Ezekiel basically, they make him, when they first see him, they start talking to him about, being the son of man, and, all this and that, and who they are and where they're from. They make him eat a parchment, and this parchment is bitter, kind of bitter honey, he kind of talks about. And he ends up eating it and kind of receives information after he eats this, and that's kind of the cool part. The sucky part is they wanted him to fast and basically go on this diet. This is where we get, you guys ever hear about Ezekiel's bread? You can buy it from like Albertsons and stuff, with all the nuts and stuff like that. Yep. Well, it's literally from the Bible. So they make him make this bread that he has to bake over an open fire. And the fuel for the fire had to be human excrement. No joke. And he just despised it because, it was a shitty scenario. But basically, this bread was made out of these different components, and it was it had such high nutritional value that it sustained him for the most part. They do talk about, or he talks about eating grasshoppers, and he was a wild man. And what they mean by that, him being a wild man, the description of Ezekiel being a wild man, his hair was matted wool. So he had locks, basically. Yeah, he had braids. He had the locks, and his hair was like wool, and his skin was like bronze because he was out in the sun. He lived in the wilderness. He tried to be out there a lot, and he wore lambskin. Yeah, he was a mountain man. He was a big burly dude, and a lot of people said he was just nuts because he was out there. He was off grid, and he was eating bugs and cooking, making fire with his own poop, because, he didn't really have cattle and stuff. It was pretty cool, like the stuff that he talked about. I'm going to throw in my little favorite thing that I liked, where you have the Melchizedek, the priest that came down from the temple, Solomon's temple, because they heard him preaching about stuff. And they go, who are you to be the authoritative figure on God? We're God's priests. It's us. We give that. He goes, you know what? He goes, if you guys would remove all the Egyptian stuff from inside the Holy of Holies, he would really appreciate it. And they literally turned tail and ran. There's descriptions of some of these guys freaking out, almost kind of like passing out, because they're the ones that go inside the Holy of Holies. and no one else, and it's locked up. No one goes in there except for one day. It's Yom Kippur, which they have to tie up
Hmm.
a priest, a rope around his waist.
So they're wondering why he knows.
How does he know what's on the inside? What's really cool, and it's like one or two sentences, but there's Egyptian stuff inside, which is really cool. So there's supposed to be these large serpents inside the Holy of Holies that are, I believe, they're black and gold or blue and gold and striped, and kind of like cobras. Really, really cool. Two huge serpents that go around, and there's other people say, well, they're seraphims. There's wings on them, and they're not just serpents and stuff like that. But anyways, they were really shocked that this guy knew what was inside the Holy of Holies, and that's what made them believe that he's actually talking to God, because he was saying he's complaining all the time about all that Egyptian crap you guys are putting in there. He thought he moved you guys away from all that because a lot of their stuff was taken from Egypt when Moses left. That's the first thing that Moses grabbed was the Ark of the Covenant. Right when he killed the soldier. That's what the soldier was trying to stop him from stealing that. So he killed the soldier and buried him in the sand and then took off. So pretty cool stuff, man. Let's see. So that's what he told the priest from the temple.
That is really interesting because, I went down the route, like I said, I went down the route of the Merkaba. And I had actually started doing some research on the wheels and a chariot. Supposedly, the description of the wheel within the wheel talks about the throne of God, and in the Bible, the word to describe the throne is chariot. This was a vehicle that God was seated upon and traveled with.
Mm-hmm.
And the Merkaba was definitely a similar concept. And Merkaba means chariot,
Yes.
and broken down phonetically from ancient Egyptian, which you were just talking about the Egyptians, is light, body, spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And so the more I went down this route, I was looking at what the ancients talked about the Merkaba, and there was actually a group that predated the Kabbalists that were the early mystics of the early Jewish mystics, and they studied a book that was known as Maseh Merkaba, which essentially meant the way of the Merkaba, and they would meditate on an image of a fiery chariot to get closer to God.
Mm-hmm.
And it gets you thinking, especially considering that he had this knowledge. Ezekiel had this knowledge. If he was able to know what was in the Holy of Holies, the transportation through the mind, through meditation, especially this guy who, like you said, was a crazy mountain man. He's out in the wilderness. Dude's meditating. He's out there eating grasshoppers and making stuff with poop fire. He's out there meditating, and if he's found this way to meditate to get to the divinity or have an ascension type of situation, then clearly there's something going on here.
Right. Yeah, there's definitely something, something out there, because for this guy to be where he's at, he's moved over there and to Nippur and in this area. I mean, it's a hotbed. I mean, all these things. Let's just remove a lot of the hoopla here, right? The angels, whatever you want to call them, these entities, these things that were scaring the shit out of people were in this area. They were there. People were terrified of them. There's instances where an army basically would not go in a certain direction because they knew those things were over there. And this is an army, and they're at war, and they can't cross the River Jordan. This is where a lot of them actually hang out, is the River Jordan. There's two ways to cross the River Jordan, only two, by foot. And they wouldn't take one of the paths because that's where these things were at, and they actually did look like Ezekiel's description. They talk about how they would basically throw light at them and melt things. So they just would not cross the River Jordan in this area. It absolutely terrified people. And this went on for hundreds of years in that one area. These people were terrified of it. So there's something out there, doing something, at least in this time period, that's scaring the hell out of people, shifting political theaters and city states and warring countries. They're interacting, and when you have a warring country not go down a road because it's afraid of something, I mean, that's something. Either that or some dude with some, cans rattling, scaring people, that he's doing a really good job scaring them not to go down a path. But there was something out there,
Well, conspiracy theorists may say that the same thing is going on still today.
Oh, yeah.
Interjecting into the political
I would say
things
that.
Well, I would go backwards, because even when I was contemplating the Merkaba, I looked up stuff with the Vedic texts as far as Vimanas were
Yeah, the
concerned.
Vimanas.
And the Vimanas talk about some serious freaking power, stuff, laser type of technology melting people, whether it was lasers or nuclear properties. And one of the texts that I saw said that it had the essentially controls that were similar to the unknown power of the human ego. So mind controls, meditation. I mean, all of this stuff like ties together. All of these concepts of Vimanas and Merkabas and Ezekiel's wheel. I mean, it's some kind, and you're talking about angels melting people.
Oh,
Obviously
yeah,
this
for
is
sure.
stuff that's all crossing over. And just crazy.
Yeah, we have Dreebat just said wheels of fire. So, these are these chariots. So keep in mind, Elijah also was taken in a fiery chariot. Elijah jumped into one of those guys and took off as well. We also have Enoch, who was taken, but they don't really give a description of what he's inside when he's traveling with Uriel. But he's with Uriel, and he's traveling over such a distance, he can recognize that the sun is now rising and setting in a different location that he's not accustomed to.
Yeah, and I think my question is are these vehicles of the mind to travel to places, or are they physical vehicles, or are they a combination of both?
Well, in Enoch, it's a physical. He's traveling. He's talking about the temperature changing, and he has to ask Uriel, what the hell is this stuff that's like mush? Oh, that's snow, man. He's like, snow. He's like, I've never heard that word before. What is that? And then they're talking about it. That's so cool. Like, this guy's a tent dwelling desert dude. And he's traveling so far that the temperature's changing, and the stars don't look the same, and the sun is rising and setting in a whole nother location. This guy's mind was being blown. So, there was some cool stuff going on out there. Let's see, what else have we got here? We got Ezekiel. So basically, these guys moved around. I want to talk about, I don't have the guy's name on me. I'm going to try and find his name. But there was a NASA engineer who basically heard about Ezekiel's machine, or Ezekiel's wheel. And he decided to, from the description, to basically create a model of what this would look like if it was a vehicle. And it's crazy that the shape that he makes is very weird. It's a really weird shape. It's a really weird shape. This guy from the NASA. Can you, Brian, look that up? It's a NASA engineer creates Ezekiel's wheel model. There's pictures you can find all over the internet of this. The reason why I'm saying this, this guy built it, and he was like really into this. He was a very smart guy, and he was like, "Wow, okay, this is something." Okay, he saw a machine in the description, because this description is so profound, so detailed. That's it right there, Ezekiel's wheel. One more down. That's it. Ezekiel's wheel. So he has this idea and he creates this thing, and what's really trippy is that later on, so Brian just found the picture. So people have actually made this for real. Or actually they want to create this thing because it's workable from the dimensions and everything, the lift that it has. But my whole topic that I'm getting to is that this shape and everything, that what he basically makes, in, what was it, like this, they've had this site near the River Jordan that I was talking about. There's 2 ways to cross, and at this spot that nobody wanted to cross, that they're getting melted by all these weird things, these angel things, these fiery rocket looking things. There is it's like a mini fort, and it's situated there, and it's not associated with any cultures whatsoever in the area. And it looks different. It has a living room, like a front room living room. I'm not joking. There's photos of this. There's a couch, and there's a mural on the back of the wall that's behind the couch. And this mural is a solar system. Again, no joke. You can look at the mural. The mural's still there. You can actually see some of the color. But the mural is of a solar system, of our solar system, with the sun and the moon and the Earth and Mars and all that. And what's really crazy is the way that they count the planets is from the outside in, the writing that's on the wall. So they're listing planets that we didn't discover until the 70s. That's not even the crazy part. The crazy part is on the outside. This compound has a walled-in courtyard that has these stones that have holes in them, and they could never figure out what was in it. They know that no posts were in it, no wooden poles or anything like that. I believe there's 4 holes and then 1 gigantic hole in the middle. And for the longest time, they thought it was some type of weird furnace that they have, somebody lost, and they don't know the technology anymore. But in the inside of the furnace-like place was ash. And they didn't know what kind of ash was in there. They had never seen anything like that. And this is back in the late 1800s, all the way up to the 1900s and stuff like that. The crazy thing is, the ash turns out to be similar to what you can find at Cape Canaveral. Blew my mind. There's only a few places that you can find this type of ash. And what it is, it's spent fuel. And
I was going to say, Rob.
Yeah, they have no idea why this would have it. But what's cool is, if you guys look up this Ezekiel spacecraft, it fits perfectly into that. It literally, the 4 legs go into those holes, and the middle is where the heat comes out of, goes right in the middle of that heating area where the ash is at. The only other place that they find ash like this is Mount Sinai.
By the way, not to cut you off, we just posted a picture of the NASA, his recreation. It's on our KOTW podcast page. It's in the stories. It's not on the page. Just check the stories and you'll see what we're talking about.
So, they found out. So it's Mount Sinai has this spent fuel thing, this ash thing. You can look it up, and it's really weird. It's like high in something, kind of like what the moon has that they're talking about. But it's on Mount Sinai, and then it's in Cape Canaveral. And it just blows my mind, like when you go back to Mount Sinai and the whole Sinai Peninsula, nobody owns that, right? Like, I mean, you have the Egyptian that claims part of it. But when you look at a map, you have everyone building everywhere except right there. They never built there. You go back 1,000 years, no one was fucking there except for the Egyptians mining. But they never put up a settlement there. It's like they weren't allowed to be there. But it's pretty freaking trippy, like it just blew my mind when I read that. Thank you, Mascara. Yes, damn, that thing looks crazy. This is built by a NASA engineer, man. No joke.
I think I think what you're talking about, from what I see here, The Spaceships of Ezekiel, 1974, is a book by Joseph F. Bloomrich.
Right.
Um,
That's the original one. Yeah.
about a spaceship that was supposedly observed by the prophet Ezekiel, written while the author was chief of NASA's Systems Layout Branch of the Program Development Office at the Marshall Space Flight
Yep.
Center.
No joke, man. This guy,
That
somebody
guy.
told him about it, and he was like, what are you talking about?" They're like, "Yeah, man, what do you think about this? You know, it's aliens and whatever." He goes, "That's stupid." And then he started looking into it. And he was like, "Yeah, I'll be back." And the guy became obsessed with it. There's actually a documentary about it, and I cannot tell you what the hell it is because I saw it a really long time ago. But it shows the guy at his house, like in the 70s, and he has a drafting board, and he's drawing it, and he gets models, and he's carving. He wants to create this thing, but he actually becomes obsessed with it. He's like, "Wait a minute, this is legit. Like, this is not, this crazy thing." But he he breaks it down, man. But that really blew my mind, seeing that connection to this spot, because nobody really put that together, except for nowadays. This is back in the day. I think when I first read this thing, it was like early 90s. And then later on, probably in early 2000s or mid 2000s, um, I found that little compound that fits the spaceship, and didn't realize that the two were connected in some way, shape, or form. But really amazing stuff out there, man. So if you guys have any questions, please pop on and drop us a message if you guys have any questions and or comments. We will try to answer them as best as we can. Mascara.
We have in the chat. We have mascara. We got Red
We
Dragon.
had a lot of mascara there.
We got Drebat. Thank you guys for joining us as usual.
So what else? What else you got over there? What do you got over there, Ron?
Hey, what do I have? I'm telling you, dude, I was really contemplating this, and I seriously think, aside from all of the technology inferences and this crazy stuff that's being written about in these really, really early times, I was I'm really thinking about the meditation aspects of it. And when you talk about some of the concepts of the Merkaba, talk about the the masculine and the feminine, the essentially very much like Solomon's seal, with the triangles up and the triangles down, and counter spinning. And it led me to start contemplating, also thinking about like Kundalini energy, So I'm like, are all these, when we talked about Nimrod last time, and the Tower of Babel, and how stuff got disseminated and thrown out amongst all these different cultures with all these different languages. I started thinking, did all of these different people have the concepts, but just trying to describe it in their own way? Because you start to see the correlation. At least I was seeing correlations between Kundalini, the Merkaba energy, these transportation devices, whether they're physical or mental, or a combination of both, using energy from the mind to power them, anti-gravitational. I mean, it's just, I went down a real rabbit hole with that one.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did, man. You sound like back in the Pedro times, man.
Yeah.
uh, those things. We talk about the Vimanas and stuff like that. If you're talking about the Vimanas specifically, they were talking about the flywheel that was powering them with the energy, like 0 point energy and stuff. It's a flywheel that they were using for that. There's actually an instruction manual you can go download off the internet. it's a maintenance manual that's like I think like 2,000 years old, something stupid like that, of
Yeah, there
Vimanas and
was
stuff. Yes,
there's like 33 different
yeah, small, big, some are like
33.
cities.
Well, no. I mean, as far as the Vimanas are concerned, it was like 5 or 7 different ones, but supposedly there was like 33 techniques, ancient techniques that the guys that flew them had to know these particular aspects of how to deal with essentially and when you read them, they read kind of like flight manuals where people have to know how to deal with weather and altitudes and all of these different things, but also they had descriptions of being controlled through ego driven, essentially mind control. So I mean, and when you talk about like alien technology, supposedly the aliens aren't able to live outside of their ship. So it's all this kind of mind, body, spirit, light, control, it all ties in.
Yeah, there's so much stuff that's out there. I want to give a shout out to Derek Craig. He's hailing us from New Orleans. What's up, Derek from New Orleans? What's up, New Orleans? And we got Samuel Tut Mendez. He's from New Jersey. New Jersey. What's up? I got family out there. Thank you guys for tuning in and listening. Let's see. We have this crazy dude named Red Dragon. Wouldn't the Vimana and Ezekiel's wheel be somewhat the same tech? I don't know, man. I think the description of Ezekiel's wheel is smaller than a Vimana. I know they were smaller or small Vimanas. I don't know. I don't really know. I really couldn't tell you. They could be, There does seem to be, there's different ideas and concepts of who was behind these flying things in cultures that, they pop up that doesn't seem like they belong there. Probably the easiest answer is that it's a civilization somewhere that was just banging, that was just way ahead of everybody else. There's a lot of theories that the planet went into a war and somebody won and everybody else got, banged back into the Stone Age. And these guys
The Vedic.
Right.
The Vedic
Yep.
definitely talk about shit like that.
Yep. And that these guys just stayed. And then they go, you know what we're going to do? We're just going to make it to where you can't come over here. We just melt you if you walk over here. So nobody ever goes in this area. And then they would fly around everywhere, to stay hidden. That's a perfect defense, right? If nobody knows you exist or they're afraid of you because they think you're a god, you're not going to get messed with,
Right.
And then this is what we kind of see where Marduk comes in. We talked about on the last episode, Marduk gathers human beings. They're very specific on that. And the lords or the Anunnaki or the gods get kind of pissed off. They're like, well, he just has humans. And they go, yeah, but he's got like the majority of the humans. Like, that's the problem. It's like the humans look like an ocean when they come and but we have technology, but they have waves of people that they just come in and they take over, So, that's kind of like the turning point with Marduk, is that he got humanity on his side to go and rise up against. So you have these people or these entities with high class vehicles and equipment against people who don't have anything. But if you have 1 million people walking on you, you got a machine gun, you're not going to get them all. So that's kind of what ended up happening. Just to kind of correlate with the Vimanas and Ezekiel's wheel, just to touch base on that, there's a lot of stuff about Solomon and his flying carpet, and him going to India a lot because he would take off on his flying carpet and basically be gone for a while. And everybody's like, "Where'd you go?" He's like, "Yeah, I went out for a pack of cigarettes," and he wouldn't talk about it. What's really cool in India, there's
and his seal was that Merkaba.
Right. There's a mountaintop that is a mesa, like it's basically a mountain that you cannot get on top of. It looks like it's almost like a paint can with a rim on top, like a volcano rim. But on the inside, there's like a spring with water and like grass and some, not too many trees, but they call it Solomon's Throne. And it's in India. And it's been named that like forever. And people are like, why the hell is this called Solomon's Throne? And they're like, well, this is where the Vimanas would basically stop off and they wouldn't be attacked by any of the humans. And today, you can go look it up. If you look it up on the internet, you can check it out. It's really, really beautiful.
What a coincidence.
Right. You can fly in there with a helicopter, but you cannot hike in. It looks like somebody made it. I believe it's kind of like, you know what Black Mesa is?
Mm-hmm.
Right. You've seen that? It just looks freaking weird, right? It looks like it's like the stump of a tree and it's kind of hollow in the middle. So, imagine something huge that you cannot hike in. I mean, I guess if you're like a rock climber, you can get in with the facets or whatever they're called, But there's a lot of stuff out there, man. So let's see what else we got. Let's see. I got Samuel Tutt. There's the theory we split, and there's another civilization of us that are far ahead. Yeah, so there's a lot of evidence of this. This is what I was talking about earlier. There's a lot of evidence of this when you get into like the Popol Vuh, when you talk about the Aztecs and stuff like that. They talk about these crow people that wore black crow feathers that were supposed to be monsters or gods. And one of the city king dudes was like, man, screw this. I'm tired of giving these people shit, There's only two of them that show up and everybody's scared of them, Screw this. And he throws a spear. He just says, fuck it. And he throws a spear and spear decks the dude right in the chest and kills him. Blood comes out. And the other guy takes him and they fly away. He goes, you all saw that. That was blood. He had blood that came out. They're humans. Let's do this. Let's fight. And then they got utterly decimated. They came back with technology and just wiped him out. Yeah. So when he saw that, all these people got riled up. You're right. They're not monsters. But unfortunately, these guys had technology and they came back and they like literally obliterated them. Samuel Tutt, yes, just villagers dressed up. Unfortunately, it's smoke and mirrors, but it's smoke and mirrors with technology. So, yeah, he was dressed up like a monster and that was fake, but his ray gun was real. Literally the Spanish and the king. Yeah. You talking about Spanish coming over to America, it's only 75 million indigenous people that were murdered that we never talk about, but maybe I'll make an episode.
Is that all?
That's all. It's only 75 million. I mean, that includes, smallpox and everything like that, but we don't talk about that.
There's some blankets with smallpox.
Right. I mean, it was just BS. They used chemical warfare on everybody. Because I said that and you brought up the Spanish coming over, please go read the United States history of indigenous people. That will rip your brain open. Please, 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 please go read that. That's the real history of the Americas and what really took place.
And there are actual organizations and funding that is currently going on now still today. So you can research and find those if you're, in a position to be able to donate towards things.
Yes, please
land is still being taken from people as we speak. So
yeah, Long Beach State.
You can, around here. Actually.
Around here, yeah. We're in California.
Yeah,
Los Angeles.
So yeah, you can research
Long
those
Beach.
things, and again, if you're in the place to be able to do so, you can donate to that stuff.
Right. So Samuel's saying, look up the Hawaiians. Yeah,
Oh yeah, that's another one.
The Hawaiians, it was really jacked up because they're like, yo, what's up, guys? You guys look cool. Let's go kick it. You guys want to smoke and like eat and barbecue and chill with our women? And they were super cool with them. And the Spanish were like, yeah, let's stab them. We got swords. And they're like, what the hell, man? Yeah, that was really jacked up stuff that they did to Hawaiians. Hawaiians got screwed over really, really bad.
Yeah, there was a lot of bad stuff going on with conquest. I mean, whether you're talking about the Spaniards and the Americas or in Hawaii or South America or even the same type of thing that happened in the British Isles when they were
Yeah, the
trying to
Brits.
eliminate the ancient Celts and their, you know, you're talking about conquests and you're talking about um, elimination of cultures, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, there's just a lot of stuff that's very unfortunate. Yeah. What else we have? We have Samuel again saying, yeah, the Hawaiians did not want them to come back. Yeah, the Hawaiians knew what was up after that, and then they can only do so much, because these guys had guns. So that sucked. They would. I know, like I like specifically what you're talking about here, Samuel. I'm a fan of the Hawaiians and reading up on them. Any civilization that was in that area, the Pacific. And the Celtic people, yes, the Celtic people. So when you guys see Braveheart, they got the blue paint on. They never wore blue paint. That was 100% wrong. Yeah, that was 100% wrong. That was a whole nother
About the
people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
inaccuracies in Braveheart are
crazy.
full of stuff. Yes, yeah,
Right.
but
Yeah. The people who wore the blue were like 1,500 years prior.
yeah, not to
That was
mention there
Lu.
was
Yeah, that was the god Lu.
that.
That was all blue, and he had stars tattooed on him and stuff, and he had a staff that basically melted anything that he pointed at. And that was the god Lu. He was a real chill dude. Except he didn't like the guys on the west coast of Ireland. If you go, there's a bunch of fortresses that are vitrified. Everything around it is perfectly green except for the fortress. It is literally melted into glass. It's really cool. There's like 8 of them or something like that. And they have no idea why. Although the sagas talk about the seafoam people coming up on the beach like waves because there were so many and them fighting. Yeah, you guys got to read that one. That is the what sagas is that? That's not the Popol Vuh. That's the blah, 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 blah. I was just reading it. I took it to Puerto Rico and then to Virginia. Why am I drawing a blank? I'm drawing a blank on that. Something sagas. Brian, help me. Hadrian's Wall. Hadrian's Wall is literally made out of a bunch of mini tiny Stonehenges. They did that because the main heads were the main heads of the Celtics were gathering up, and the shamans there were that was their power base. So they wanted to remove those focal areas for them so they can't gather and draw their power for the people and stuff like that. How about Ezekiel and the Atlanteans? The Druids, yeah. The Atlanteans. So I was going to talk about the Atlanteans and Mu and a lot of the other places that people don't know about. There's a lot of other islands out there that were in the Pacific. I do specialize in that, so we should probably do a show on that. I just realized that. Yeah, thank you, Dreebat.
Yeah, that's
Sounds like
the
an idea for
interesting
another
thing.
show.
Yes, this is why we want your comments. Because,
Yeah.
we actually read your comments. So when you guys post stuff, when you guys are like, wow, hey, man, do you guys know about that? These guys call me a walking, talking encyclopedia of occult knowledge and just a bunch of weird shit, which I am. And I can talk about quite a lot. And yes, I can talk about Atlanteans. Sam, God, I
Yeah,
love
we
the
got
Atlantean
to
stuff.
do
Yeah.
Atlanteans. I mean, there is definitely some connections with the Vedic texts talking about wars between the Asvin or Atlantean airships and stuff that happened on the moon and crazy stories. So I think that needs to be a future.
Yeah, we
Future
can
episode
definitely
for-
do that. I actually have quite a few books on that. Yeah, that are like really old books that you can't really find now. But yes, yeah. I don't know if you're calling me weird, Red Dragon, but you would not be wrong. Yeah, do the war recorded with Atlantis and Egyptians. There's a lot of stuff. So just to touch on that real quick, Samuel is bringing up the war recorded with Atlantis and the Egyptians. There was a bunch of stuff like that because there was a big, huge trade route. The Egyptians were getting stuff from the Mayans and the Aztecs and stuff, trading coke and jade and a bunch of other stuff. And yes, I said coke as in the drug. Yes, The Egyptians were doing a lot of coke. The high-end people, they had necklaces that were a little screw cap that would come off, and there would be coke inside of it. And we had jars of that stuff too. And they had jade that were carved. They were jaguars carved out of jade. We actually have the itinerary or the forwarding sheet basically for the transporter of the ship. His cargo manifest, basically.
The bill of lading?
The bill of lading, literally. I was just going to say, I was trying to not say that, but yes, I work in that industry, and I did not want to mention that. But, yeah, they had found a list. It was like coke, jewelry, jade, tobacco, corn, stuff like that. There was some high-end rich dude that was complaining he didn't get what he wanted on his list. And the guy's like, they didn't have it that time. Yes, mascara. Yes, booger sugar. Or sugar boogers. Yeah.
Booger skiing the slope.
That's right. The sweet sniffles. But there's a lot of stuff out there. Post flood war stopped and tech disappears. Yeah, there's a whole stuff. So Samuel, I don't know if you're new to forgive me if I don't know who you are if you're new, but I specialize in anything that is antediluvial. So anything pre-flood is my area of interest, and I've been doing that since I don't know, Brian, how long have I been doing that?
Since you're, what, 13?
Yeah, 13.
I was
So,
gonna say 13.
yeah.
You told me.
Yeah. So, I'm a weird dude, but weird in a good way. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff out there. So, we had Dreebad ask about Ezekiel and the Atlanteans. There's not too much I can tie them together with. Not really, because when you have, the Hebrews, most likely you have Enlil as Yahweh, because he was a storm god, and then the Atlantean. Atlantis and stuff like that, and land of Mu, and I'm completely forgetting the other island. Lemuria. There you go. Lemuria and Mu.
Lemuria.
There's Lemuria. There's Mu.
could
Yeah, I know. I know. I like basically memorize the entire book in junior high. And I don't know why I can't think of it now. Maybe because I'm old now. Shit, I'm turning 41 in a month. Man. Yes. So, so what was I saying? So yeah, the Atlantis would be Enki for sure. So that's Enki. In Sumerian or cuneiform, his name is E.A. which is basically house who is water. So he dwelled in the water, and so he would be Poseidon. He would be all mind blown. Yeah, there's a bunch of stuff out there. That's really dope.
James just realized what the logo for my business was.
Right. I'd seen that for so long, and he just told me it has 10 fathoms, too. That is insane, dude. What an asshole. Staring at that thing forever. It's literally Inky's symbol. It's his hat, too. It's his fucking hat, and it's 10 fathoms, which is under the water. That's fucking amazing. God, there's a bunch of great guys here. Yeah. Okay. So what else we got here? We got Samuel, brother Samuel, Army, Navy, Hampton, Virginia. Huh? I was just out there. I was out there in Virginia, not too long ago. It's a great time out there. I want to go see the George Washington Monument.
Mike's back there right now, right?
Mike is out there right now, freezing his balls off.
Alexandria.
Yeah, he said it was like 33 degrees, the weather.
33 degrees.
Yeah, I know. I kind of stopped myself there. I'm like, wait a minute. Ooh, I just realized that. I know. I'm not talking about the spines or the honorary title on the Scottish Rite. Damn it, I'm only a 32. But, yes, Mike. Yes, you are out there. Mike, what is the temperature right now, Mike? And Mike, thank you for joining us. I know what is it, 3-hour difference? It's way past your bedtime for an old guy.
Oh, that's right. He's
Yeah,
staying
it's
up late.
11.
It's like 11? Yeah.
Yeah, 11 back there.
32.
Yeah, it's
Samuel's a 32 degree, huh? 32nd degree.
It's the opposite of balls, I'm pretty sure.
Oh, I'm sure. We're
The
waiting on you,
polar.
Mike. What's the temperature? We lost Mike. He's now frozen.
Yeah.
So I'm going to sleep.
He fell asleep. He fell asleep.
He fell asleep. Yeah. Um, yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there, man. Ezekiel's Wheel is super freaking cool. It's one of the next coolest things that you can read about, and be just as confused as you are amazed, than reading Book of Enoch, whichever version you want to go read, the Slavonic, the Ethiopian, or 1A, 1B, whatever, whichever one you want to go. Oh, low 60s, so it's kind of warm over there. When I was over there, Mike, it was like 85% humidity and probably like 90 degrees. It sucked. Like you go outside and your clothes got wet. Like it was just wet. It was pretty, it sucked, but it was still fun to go walk around and stuff. And I was in downtown Alexandria, which is really cool, and a bunch of other places. Got to go see Civil War stuff. So shout out to all the people that took care of me out there. Really appreciate it. It was a wonderful time out there.
Everybody's
Yesterday
freezing
morning, my car was frozen, Mike said. That's amazing. You're lucky that's the only thing that was frozen, Mike.
Yep.
Really cool stuff.
Well, I think this is about the time we wrap it up here.
I think it is. You have
James?
you have any shout outs, Mike? I mean, Mike. No, Mike's not here.
Mike's not here.
Well, Mike's
Mike's not
gonna give us a
here,
shout
man.
out. He's gonna text us. It was just you. Do you have any shout outs?
I want to shout out to the Luminari MC, my brothers in my new motorcycle club. These guys, I'll be cruising down to SoCal tomorrow from Merced, getting up at the butt crack of dawn. I'll be dealing with some freezing cold weather. Got some chaps to keep me warm on my motorcycle cruising down. So those guys are the ones that I want to shout out to. What about you?
I always got shout outs. So, I like to take this opportunity to basically plug the occult community and the esoteric community that's here. It's alive and well and going strong for everybody. We have an event. So, we have the Long Beach Winter Solstice Festival, which is going to be taking place December 4th, which is this Saturday from 11 to 5 p.m. at the Scottish Rite Cathedral on 855 Elm Avenue, Long Beach, California, 90831. So if you guys are in Southern California and LA area and would like to go see some really cool stuff, go see it. I will be there. I will be there in another capacity. I will be there with the OTA. The OTA will be there. They will be having a booth, and we will be there. I will be there with Max and the great and wonderful Poke Runyon. If you guys know who Poke Runyon is.
Oh,
Yeah, Poke
Almighty Poke.
Yep.
Nice.
The secret of
Yeah, that's right. So Poke will be there. Poke, a lot of people say he doesn't come out anymore, but he does. We got him to come out. So Poke will be there. So if you guys are a Poke fan, you guys have never seen Poke and the Solomonic Magic on Amazon Prime Video, go check it out. But he will be there.
Hey, are you going to be there all day long, Jamesies?
I am there in the OTA booth all day long. I am setting up and tearing down with Max and Poke.
Weed. I might cruise by then.
Yeah, I will be
cruise
there.
by
I will be there all day. I'm going to be there at 9:30 a.m. in the morning to set up. And we'll be
Cool.
there hanging out, and I will be doing live. So if you guys, fans, want to see what's going on, basically...
You got deets on that? What's the cost for entry, all that kind of
You
stuff?
know what?
Let
I
everybody-
don't know. I don't know because I'm helping vendor there. So actually, I don't know. It's not my event, but I'm just putting it out there.
It didn't look
you
like
know-
there was a cost on the flyer.
You know, I don't think it's said. I'm not sure, to be honest. I don't think that there is.
Just show up.
Yeah, time
Everybody
to
just show up.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. They're gonna have a bunch of vendors there. Like, who are they gonna have? They are gonna have, besides OTA, they will have an opening Yule ritual, which is gonna be at 12 o'clock p.m., which I would highly recommend. Do not miss. It's gonna be really, really cool. It's to present a Yule-themed ritual at the first Long Beach Winter Solstice Festival. It's a very simple but fun ritual that will include some pinecone magic to connect and honor the upcoming winter solstice energies. And then we also have I believe I the Cat's gonna be there. There are a bunch of occult stores and metaphysical stores that will be there. This is being hosted by Phrase Hermetic Supplies, which is a wonderful company that actually makes their own stuff and creates things. They are a creator. They actually supply other metaphysical stores, so it is pretty freaking cool. Um,
Real quick, Jamesies. Mascara wants to know what's OTA.
the OTA. Well, the OTA was made
Order
by.
Temp
I'm sorry.
Astarte.
That is
Order
that is correct.
Temp Astarte.
That's correct. The OTA is the Ordo Templi of Astarte. Yes. So basically, the Ordo Templi Astartes is a Hermetic Rosicrucian lodge practicing ceremonial magic in the Western occult tradition. The theurgy derives from the clavicles of Solomon and the Kabbalistic precepts of the Order of the Golden Dawn. The order is sponsored by the Church of the Hermetic Sciences, a California religious institution incorporated on October 23rd, 1970. The church is non-denominational and does not proselytize or a dogma or revelation. So it's really cool. It offers a romantic, mystical return to the ancient ideas of personal divinity in harmony with the ordered cosmos. It's really
And
cool.
Started by our brother Poke Runyon.
That's right. The great and wonderful Poke Runyon. Yeah, Poke is an awesome dude. I love hanging out with him. I like going hanging out at his place. He's got really cool stuff over there. And doing Winter Solstice with Poke is amazing, which you have been there with me. So that was super fun. It was just too cold.
Did you find out if he was going to do Winter Solstice this year?
I will find out by Saturday because I want to be there. I know they did a summer solstice at the secret location, but yes, I will definitely be there for the winter one, and I will be better prepared for the intense freezing weather that is out there. That's for sure.
Cool.
Yeah, so awesome. I'm frozen. So yeah, if you guys want to come visit, you guys want to see me, you guys want to see Poke Runyon, you guys want to see OTA, I the Cat, Dragon Rose, and all these other great people that will be there in a Yule ceremony, please come out and visit. And other than that, shop local. Please help your local stores. COVID has destroyed so much. Yeah. So wherever you're at, go shop local.
We're in the season for shopping, so shop local for sure.
Yes.
And I think that'll about wrap it up.
I think that's it, guys.
Thanks for this great episode. Thanks for all your information, Jamesies. We appreciate it as always.
Thank you.
Thank you to all of our listeners, our subscribers, our fans, everybody that was involved on the chats tonight. We appreciate you so much. Thank you.
Make sure to follow on any social media outlets that you are not currently following on. Keepers _of_the_word is the normal Instagram page that you might already know. We also set up a second one for the podcast. It's KOTW_podcast. Again, that's Instagram. We are on Twitch. You're probably here already, so you know where that's at. We're also on YouTube and Facebook. Again, Keepers of the Word across the board.
And then just to let you guys know, our new little Instagram page, KOTW_podcast, we do impromptu lives. I know I jump on while I'm doing something, whether it's, whatever I do in my own practices at home, preparing, studying. So, it's kind of basically, it's going to be a glimpse into the background into what takes place, how Keepers of the Word episodes are being made, more about us, the individuals that run Keepers of the Word, and just the events that we go to and stuff like that. We will be posting it on there. So if you guys want a more in-depth view, you guys want to talk to us, you guys want to drop messages, you guys want to see episodes and stuff, drop them. Drop those questions, drop those answers, drop those ideas you guys have. We will do them. So
let us.
You can also contact us through the website, keepersoftheword.net. There is a contact page there. You can leave any messages, again, show ideas, all that type of stuff, or just to say hi. We do have merch on there, Samuel Tutt. What else? We do not currently have a Patreon. That's
We do not
something
have
that
a Patreon. You know, we should have had that like
considering
5 years ago,
doing,
but
we haven't done that yet.
We're working.
we're working on
it's
it.
gonna
lot of things in motion.
It's
Getting
coming.
it all together. But
Hopefully.
But there definitely is merch on the website. Again, keepersoftheword.net. So again, thank you guys all, and we shall return. Oh, just like hold on. What was yeah, Sam. He had another idea about a book. Again, a lot of things are in the works. So
Yeah, I always get in trouble, man. When I talk about, just read Samuel's question here. It's our statement. It's you guys need to get together to get a book together about the timeliness of religion and gods. You know, when I talk about religion and I talk about gods, I usually get kicked out of wherever I'm at, and I get in a lot of trouble, which I don't mind because fuck the world,
Doesn't
right?
hurt your
That's right.
Yep.
That's right. They don't tuck me into bed at night. So, you know, I've been unfortunately kicked out of too many damn establishments. But fuck it, I'll do it. Yeah, who cares?
all right,
Thank you guys.
Have a good night, everybody.
Have a good night,
Until
guys.
next one, and stay in contact through all.